10.3. My plan is today to look at the front side of the notes, and then Monday to look at the back side of the notes, which would make the homework due on Tuesday. It's going to be a similar type thing to the previous lesson where I'm going to say, don't do the fraction stuff, because the fraction stuff, isn't that what's on the back side? Yeah. The fraction stuff is what we'll look at next time. Okay? And so you can, the homework's not due till Tuesday, but you can still start looking at, as time allows and whatnot. And while it's fresher in your mind. So lesson 10.3 is operations with radical expressions. Radical meaning the square root symbol, right? Okay, we're better on that now? The first time I said that the other day, I just said it, and you guys were like, what? Huh? Okay, so radicals. So we're talking about how you add and subtract radicals. In order to multiply, you can multiply any square root by any square root. In order to add and subtract, it's a little more picky. A lot like variables. So the idea is you can add like radicals. Like radicals are radicals that have the same radicand, meaning the number under the radical is the same. So if they're like radicals, the radical and everything under it is the same. Okay? So as long as they have like radicals, you can add them. So for instance, 3 square root of 5 and 7 square root of 5. They both have the square root of 5 there, right? So you could add 3 square roots plus 7 square roots and get 10 square root of 5. Okay? You just carry the square root of 5 along. It's just like adding 3x plus 7x. When you did 3x plus 7x, you get 10x. Same thing. Okay? Unlike radicals, they have different radicands. So they have different numbers under the radical. For example, 4 square root of 3 and negative 2 square root of 2. Those numbers under the radical are different. I can't add those. That would be saying like, okay, what's 4x minus 2y? 4x minus 2y is 4x minus 2y. I can't do it. So that is what we're doing today. Okay? So, let's look at example 1. 4 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 5.
6.
So 6 square root of 5. You got it. And that, as you said, my radicands are the same. Since they're both square roots of 5, we add the numbers in front and stick them together. Okay, next example. 7 square root of 2 minus 8 square root of 2.
Negative 1 square root of 2.
Good. 7 minus 8 is negative 1, and they're both attached to a square root of 2. Now, I just wrote this as negative 1 square root of 2. How picky is Math Excel being with this stuff?
Well, you have to do the 1 over, square root of 2 over.
No, not that you'd have to do a fraction or anything, but
Just negative.
just a negative and then square root of 2. Kind of like, do they let you put negative 1x, or do they make you say negative x? And I know it sometimes depends. But now, honestly, I'm fine with negative 1 square root of 2. And if Math Excel is fine with it,
Then keep that one.
then it's fine. It doesn't matter. But the more official answer is negative square root of 2. Okay? 4 square root of 3 plus square root of 3.
4 square root.
Not quite.
5.
Oh, we have 5.
Why would it be 5 square root of 3?
Because there's the 1 root.
Yeah, just like an x with nothing in front of it, there's an invisible 1 in front of it. So 4 square root of 3 plus 1 square root of 3 is indeed 5 square root of 3. Good job. Yeah, that's, and it's an easy thing, but the first time you see it, it's, oh yeah, there's that invisible 1 there. It's just like adding what's 4x plus x. Remembering the 1x. Okay, next row. 4 square root of 7 plus 2 square root of 28.
Well, the radicands are not the same. So you're going to have to
So we're what?
You're going to have to do something different.
Okay, so yeah, radicands are not the same. So we're going to have to, options include 1, get them the same, which is often possible. If you can't get them the same, then your answer is just done right here. Okay, if you can't get them the same. But before we stop, we need to see, can either of these radicals simplify? And this is why I said have your blue papers out today. Because we want to look and see, do square root of 7 or square root of 28 have any perfect squares in them? So square root of 7, the only thing 7 divides by is 1 in itself. So that's not going to help me. 28, what kind of things does 28 divide by?
No, I don't know.
Check your math there.
No.
Okay, you've got the calculator. And here's what we're checking, right? What does it matter? Does 28 divide by any of these numbers on the blue page?
4 and 7.
28 divides by 4, doesn't it? So, okay, kind of like what we were doing the last couple of days. 4 square root of 7, I'm just going to carry down the end. On 2 square root of 28, the 2 stays out front. 28 is 4 times 7 under the radical, right? Well, there's already a 2 out front. What is the square root of 4? 2. So that square root of 4 comes out from under the radical and becomes a 2. What is the square root of 7?
It's a decimal, so it's just square.
So it stays square root of 7. So what is 2 times 2 times square root of 7? 4 square root of 7. So for 2 square root of 28, we simplified it and make it 4 square root of 7. Now, don't forget, what else did we have?
4 square root of 7. Oh, and now it's the same, so you just 8 square root of 7.
All right. So now we have 4 square root of 7 plus 4 square root of 7, which is 8 square root of 7. I don't know if I'm being the bearer of good news or bad news here, because it means more work, but that's what's going to happen most of the time. Most of the time, you're asked to add these. Oh, they're not the same radicals. We can't add them. But, oh, we do some simplifying, and guess what? Magically, they work out to be the same, and we can't add them. Okay? Let's look at the next example, then. 7 square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 54. So the point to be made is, you guys are both doing work, that means you know they can't be subtracted as is.
Yeah.
What perfect squares do we see in these? And if you look, I mean, yeah. And I noticed you guys both kind of jumped over 6 because it was a smaller number. It's not that it could possibly divide by something, but the only option is, does 6 divide by 4? No, you get a decimal. Now, what you guys will start working on is the 54. So 2 is going to stay out front. 54 divides by what perfect square? 9. So that's 9 times 6. So the 2 out front carries down. What do I know about the square root of 9?
It's 3.
It's 3. What do I know about the square root of 6?
It stays.
It stays. And guess what? It just so happens to match the other one, right? So what is 2 times 3 times the square root of 6?
6 square root of 6.
So we have 6 square root of 6. Now, probably a bad habit of mine. Don't forget, what did we have up front? 7 square root of 6. And the original problem said minus 6 square root of 6. What is 7 square root of 6 minus 6 square root of 6? 1 square root of 6. And I'm okay with that. I don't know if Math Excel will be okay with that. What's the better way to put it? Just square root of 6, right? Okay. go to the next one. I'm going to go to my next screen because
Oh,
I'm out of room, yeah. I have it set up on the next screen, though, I believe.
Yeah.
5 square root of 32 minus 4 square root of 18.
okay. 18 divided by 9. So, negative 4 goes down, and square root of 9 minus 3.
Okay, so I'm going to follow Michaela's tracks here. She started working at 18. So I heard her say the 4 goes down. 18 divides by 9 according to, blue paper calculator. And that's 9 times 2. So carrying it down, it's minus 4. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 2 stays square root of 2. And 4 times 3 is 12. So I have 12 square root of 2. And if I carry down the minus, I have the minus. Now, unlike the last two problems, what do you notice?
They're negative. It's 30.
I have 32 and a 2.
Yeah.
They don't match. However, have you checked into 32?
It divides by 2. But I got messed up the math on that. Yeah. I know.
Well, I don't want to know that it divides by 2.
Divides by 16.
I want to know 32, does it divide by 25, 16, 9, or 4?
6.
And the biggest number divides by is 16, right? That's good. I like that you guys are using 16. So this is 5. And under the square root is 16 times 2. 5 stays out front. The square root of 16 is 4, and that's outside the radical. 2's under the radical. 5 times 4 times square root of 2 is
20 square root of 2.
20 square root of 2. Final answer?
20 square root of 2 minus 12 square root of 2. No, you can combine it.
And what is 20 square root of 2 minus 12 square root of 2?
8 square root of 2.
8 square root of 2. Okay. So, anytime you work with square roots or radicals, you have to think blue paper and try and simplify them. Okay? And I'm nice, and I always provide the blue paper for you, and you can always use it, including on tests. I let my Algebra 2 kids use these on tests too. Okay? But, become familiar with your perfect squares, right? So you don't always have a blue paper by your side. Okay. Bottom of this page. Square root of 2, and then there's parentheses, square root of 6 plus 5.
Yeah, I actually don't know. It's multiplication.
I said, what do the parentheses make you think?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. And often when we have one piece outside the parentheses and two terms inside the parentheses, what do we think we have to multiply?
2 times 6 and 2 times 5.
Right. That square root of 2 has to, can I throw in a math word for you?
Sure.
Yeah, distribute. So we have to distribute. So, this is where we kind of have to start bringing all the rules together. This is what we have to practice. Square root of 2 times square root of 6.
Square root of 12.
Yep, they're both under radicals, so you just multiply them. Square root of 2 times square root of 6 is 12. Plus
6.
square root of 2 times 5.
You can't multiply those because one's under a radical and one's
Mhm. 2's under a radical, and in order to multiply that with other radicals or other numbers, they have to both be under radicals. If they're not, if one's under a radical and one's not, what's square root of 2 times 5?
5 square root.
Yeah, the 5's going to stay outside the square root. The 2 stays under the square root. The question becomes, can I add these?
No, you have to do this. You have 12 divides by 4, so square root.
So the question is, can I add them as is? No, because square root of 12 and square root of 2 are not the same. So then the question becomes, am I done, or can I do some simplifying? And we grab that blue paper, and we look at 12, and we realize 12 divides by 4. So 12 is 4 times 3. The square root of 4 is 2. 3 stays square root of 3. And then plus, what about 5 square root of 2? Does that simplify?
No.
Square root of 2 is square root of 2. So that one we just carry down. 5 square root of 2. What is 2 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 2?
7 square root. I don't know.
7. Oh wait, no. 7.
So 2 plus 5 is 7.
Yeah.
But then you got stuck on the fact of
3 times.
square root of 3 plus square root of 2.
Yeah.
Can we add those?
No.
No, they're not like radicals. So guess what my answer is?
That's just the answer.
We can't go any farther because, yes, we simplified as we were supposed to, but this time they didn't work out to be like radicals. So we leave it as 2 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 2. Okay. Next example. Square root of 7 times square root of 3 minus 2.
Distribute. So it is square root of 21 minus 2 square root of 7.
Okay. So number out front of the parentheses. We're going to distribute. Square root of 7 times square root of 3.
Square root of 21.
Square root times square root, so you keep the square root. 7 times 3 is 21. Minus square root of 7 times 2.
14. Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
2 is not under a square root. 7 is, so we just
Keep it as is.
stick them together, so to speak. Okay. Can I subtract them as is?
No.
Nope, because I got square root of 21, square root of 7. Do they simplify? Does 21 divide by 16, 9, or 4 are my choices?
No.
Okay, it doesn't. So square root of 21 is done. It only divides by 3 and 7, and those aren't perfect squares. Square root of 7. Can it divide by anything helpful? No, it only divides by 1 in itself. So
It's the answer.
it's the answer. It's done. That happens sometimes. Not often, but it happens sometimes. Okay, don't expect it to happen a lot, but enjoy it when it does. Okay,
Okay.
one last topic, so to speak. Square root of 11 minus 2, quantity squared.
Okay, so now to write the number twice since it's squared.
Okay, so the squared means, I'm going to we're doing square root of 11 minus 2 times square root of 11 minus 2. And I always encourage you to write those out side by side. How do I multiply?
Distribute.
Okay. We can use the word distribute, or we can use the word FOIL. Although I think I found out earlier this year you guys didn't really care for FOIL as much, so. Or maybe it was one of my other classes.
I do use FOIL if it's like this.
Okay. So, whether you think FOIL, whether you think distribute, doesn't matter to me as long as you know what to do. So, the first thing we're going to distribute, or the F is the first thing in each parenthesis. So, what is the square root of 11 times the square root of 11? Square root of, I think Jacob said it, 121. Okay. Then, now I'm going to distribute the square root of 11, or I'm going to do outsides. So square root of 11 times minus 2.
Oh, no. Yeah,
2's not under the radical, 11 is, so it's a positive times a negative, so I'm going to say minus 2 times the square root of 11. Okay, now we're going to distribute the minus 2. Minus 2 times square root of 11? Minus 2 square root of 11 again. And last, distribute the negative 2 one last time. Negative 2 times negative 2 plus 4. Okay.
Well, first of all, negative 2 square root 11, those combine.
Okay, I agree. In the middle, negative 2 square root of 11 minus 2 square root of 11. Well, they're both negatives. What's negative 2 minus 2?
Negative 4.
That's going to be negative 4. If it was a negative and a negative and a plus,
Yeah,
that's what you're thinking. So, minus 4 square root of 11 is in the middle there. At the end, we still have a plus 4. What do we have at the beginning?
Square root of 121, which is the perfect square.
Yeah, square root of 121 is a perfect square, and that's 11.
Yeah,
So I have 11 minus 4 square root of 11 plus 4. What'd you say?
So that'd be your answer.
Not quite. Why am I not quite done?
Because 11 minus 4 is 7.
But why did you do 11 minus 4?
Because it says 11 minus
No, it says 11, but what kind of 4 is it?
4. Negative 4.
That's a plus 4.
What?
Oh, you're trying to subtract that 4.
Yeah.
That 4 is attached to the square root of 11.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were trying to use the minus with this 4 over here.
Okay, well, 11 is a positive 4.
Yes, okay, so 11 and positive 4 are whole numbers.
Yeah.
So 11 plus 4 is going to be 15. And then we still have
15 minus 4 square root of 11.
minus 4 square root of 11, yes.
Yes.
And now we're done,
Okay.
okay? Now, and I guess we hadn't really had a situation like that, where 11 minus 4, we can't do that because this 4 is attached to the square root of 11. Same thing here. Can I do 15 minus 4 here? No, because this 4 is attached to the square root of 11. So it's 15 minus 4 square root of 11, which I can't do. Okay. That was doable, right?
Yeah.
A little work,
This
but
is just like weird.
it's putting a lot of things together. I mean, it's putting, you already know how to FOIL. You just have to remember or distribute. We've talked about multiplying radical. You know, it's just putting a lot of stuff together. So, okay, guys, you ready?
Yeah.
What do I have to do on this last one?
Now.
We're FOILing again, right?
Yeah.
I guess I never put it here. If you needed that reminder,
First.
we're FOILing.
6 times 3 is 4 square root of 18.
Okay, square root of 6 times 4 square root of 3.
I think you have to use the pen.
No, I don't.
No,
I rarely use the pen to do that. I don't know why it was, okay. It was being weird there, wasn't it? So square root of 6 times 4 square root of 3. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. 4 square root of 18 is what we said, right? Okay. Now what am I multiplying?
2 square root
There's
of 6, 7, and
Okay. Square root of 6 and 3 square root of 6. And so it's going to be 3 square root of 36.
Are we okay with that? So we
6 times 6.
square root of 6 times 3 square root of 6. So plus, it's still 3. And square root of 36. Come back and simplify later.
And then inside. Which is going to be negative 8 square root of 9.
Okay. Negative 2 square root of 3 times 4 square root of 3. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9. And then
last.
last.
Okay, negative 6 square root of 18.
Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Square root of 3 times square root of 6 is square root of 18.
And this one doesn't combine the same.
Well, we have to do a little bit of work is what it means. Okay, what things do you see?
Square root of 18 and 18, those can combine. So
Okay.
4 minus 6 is negative 2 square root of 18.
Okay, so we have a 4 square root of 18 and a minus 6 square root of 18. And 4 minus 6 is negative 2 square root of 18. Okay?
3 square root of 36, that is a perfect square root. Yeah, and it's 6.
Okay. 3 square root of 36. So we're still going to have 3, but square root of 36 is 6. So that's going to be an 18 when we get there.
And then 8 square root of 9. There's nothing I can do about it.
What'd you say?
There's nothing you can do with that yet, so I just start.
We don't know the square root of 9?
Oh, jeez, it's
3.
3. Okay. 8 times 3.
He knows it. Okay, so square root of 9 is 3. And so 8 times 3 is
24.
24. Now, what about this negative 2 square root of 18?
Well, 18 divided by 9.
18 does divide by 9, doesn't it? So it's
negative 2 square root of 9 times 2.
so negative 2. 18 is square root of 9 times 2. What do we know about the square root of 9?
It's 3.
It's 3. So I have negative. I was afraid of that. I have negative. Dang it. I wanted to put it right underneath. Come on, I'm not that close to it.
Can't you scroll up a little?
No, I can't. If I scroll, it loses the marking.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't keep it together. So, okay, we'll go over here. It's negative 2. Square root of 9 becomes 3. And it's still square root of 2, right? So, Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, square root of 2. And then we also had a plus 18 minus 24. What do you know about plus 18 minus 24?
It's negative 6.
It's minus 6. Can I subtract negative 6 square root of 2 minus 6?
No, because the negative 6 is attached to the square.
Yeah. We have one of them has a radical 2. Okay, radical 2 is already simplified. So we are done right there. Okay? So you have some work time. Well, not as much as I'd hoped, but you have a little bit. You can start working on it. Monday we will look at part 2 of the notes, which is the fraction part. So, you know, anytime you want to work on the stuff that we covered today, go for it. Don't worry about fractions yet. We'll get those on Monday. Okay? Homework won't be due till Tuesday.